I am Captain Spawn, and this is day 340 of Spawn Year. The time is drawing nigh. In 25 days, I will read the last Spawn comic I will ever have to read. I am not afraid of Captain Cog's warnings, afraid that I have lost my mind. I am not afraid that I have been drafted into a bizarre cosmic war that will claim me for all eternity. I know now, without a shadow of a doubt, that all of that is part of an elaborate ruse, a redress of that graveyard I was originally sentenced to, designed to confuse me as much as these comics have. After I read today's issue, everything became clear. I have chosen to operate as though the deal I made on day one has never changed, but always with the sharp pang of uncertainty throbbing within the deepest recesses of my brain. After this issue, a few of the invisible strings holding Spawn Year together just became visible. Spawn 199 is naturally all set up for the big deal, mega-sized landmark, almost certainly last issue that'll really matter until 225 or 250. Issue 200! It's all about the exciting, unexpected return of a major character McFarlane expected us to expect to never see again. It was sort of planted a few issues back with the reintroduction of the Freak, but he's been nowhere since Clown first befriended Jim Downing, and now, all of a sudden, for reasons I'd like to see made clear but I'm not really expecting to, he's conveniently popped back in to finally reveal his true identity when Jim returns to the alleys to claim Al's old throne. Jim is worried for Sarah's safety now that his identity and powers are public and the media vultures are circling, so he's decided to take up residence in the alleys to protect her. I like the subtle difference in how Jim is using the alleys now over Al. For Al, the alleys were a place to pretend he didn't exist, to give up, to brood instead of acting. It's a place of escape for Jim as well. He's also running away, but temporarily and for selfless reasons. Al went there because he was scared and weak. Jim is going there because he doesn't have a plan yet, not so he doesn't have to formulate one. And yet, he's making the same mistake Al did, just in a somewhat more understandable and less idiotic way. He's going to the one place he's most vulnerable, and he is literally walking right into the devil's clutches. Yeah, if he listened to Clown, he'd know that area is a dead zone, but he doesn't really understand what that means, and he's probably compelled to go there like Al did and just came up with an actual reason to justify it. Anyway, Spawn and Freak get in a nasty necroplasmic bloodbath. Freak dropping all this cryptic speechifying on Jim, he's suddenly a far more lucid, poetic, and confident character than he was a few issues ago, and tells Spawn he must choose a side, his or Clown's, saying that Clown tricked him and he's just been using him in his devious scheme for world domination. Then Clown appears and becomes just enough Violator that Jim still can't put two and two together and tell Clown and Violator are one and the same. And somehow still less galactically stupid than Al. I bet Jim would remember where he hid his guns. Freak busts out a Minotaur-horned Spawn out of nowhere, apparently out of Image United, and more fighting until Clown finally figures out the obvious and tells Jim to stay away because he's scared of Freak, now that he realizes who he really is. But the reader is expected to be on the edge of his seat, drooling and dumbfounded, scratching his monkey cranium in absolute bewilderment. Let's look at the oh-so-subtle hints, shall we? Freak controls other spawns, saying he's reclaiming what's his, calls Clown delusional and expendable for daring to try to establish himself as Earth's new master, saying it's ironic when Spawn tells him to go to hell and says he gave Jim Spawn's legacy. Well, gee, who could it possibly be? Clearly, he's Malbolgia. Killed in 100, brought back in 200, precisely the sort of landmark gimmick I'd expect from McFarlane. He's tried to claim dead is dead with this book before, and Malbolgia returning was something Haberlin proudly swore once in the letters pages would never ever happen. But McFarlane isn't a writer who cares about preserving continuity, let alone story integrity. He killed off his main character after writing several letters stating that this story is Al Simmons and no one else's, right around a time when lots of superheroes were dying and passing their mantles on. If he was willing to play that card, not because he'd run out of things to do or say with Al, which might have been understandable and was true well before he killed him, but because he was grasping at straws trying to make Spawn relevant again, why not resurrect familiar characters you'd planned to keep dead when one of the prevailing reader complaints is, this just doesn't feel like Spawn anymore? And in realizing this really obvious identity reveal before it's official, Edward Nigma McFarlane is not, I believe I've made a discovery of my own. Throughout Spawn Year, major plot points have often seemed to echo each other between the events unfolding here and those in the book. My jacket coming alive during Blood Feud, my trip through hell that coincided with Al's at issue 50, and Dooms Vince's death right around Malbolge's. Isn't it convenient that Freakadoo showed up again when the Freak was reintroduced, and now that the Freak is Malbolge, Spawn Year has shown its hand. I know he was really behind it all this time, that he's been here with me all along, and that nothing that's happened here is real. I didn't kill him. I didn't kill anyone. Because Freakadoo is Dooms Vince.